with the U.S. with one of the world's largest economy holding Bitcoin now, or holding making a crypto reserve, other countries are forced to do it because the later you do it, the more expensive your crypto will be. So yeah, so I think we are talking with many countries advising on how to set up the crypto strategic reserve, and also like if you very simple stuff or very basic fundamental stuff like what wallet solutions do you use? Do you use a professional custody solution, or do you use your own cold wallets? Do you have enough expertise to build that kind of infrastructure, etc.? So for most countries, when they start with this, most countries starting amount are not as big as US, right? US have like 200,000 Bitcoins or something. For most other countries, when they have a much smaller amount, we actually just recommend them to use a professional custody solution that's multi-sig, right? So no single person can move the money. When they build up to a certain large amount, then they should move to their own cold storage solution. So this whole discussion.
Hey, what's up, Bull Runners? Welcome back to the channel. Buckle up because today's news is a wild ride. Imagine this: billions of dollars are shifting into the crypto world right now, and the moves being made could change everything for your investment. But here's the catch: something big is happening that most people are overlooking, and it's creating a hidden problem. What if the institutions, the big players, are quietly pulling back from Bitcoin while a new crypto is stepping into the spotlight? Sounds intriguing, right? Well, don't worry, I've got you covered. In today's video, we're going to be doing a deep dive into 3 massive headlines shaping up the market, and I'll break them down for you exactly what they mean for you in simple terms. Plus, there is a sense of urgency here because tomorrow's market could look totally different. So you need to know this right now. Plus, we will be heading over to X to find out all the breaking news that's happening in the financial markets. We're also going to check Forex Factory for this upcoming week. What is the most important news that you need to know? And at the end of the video, we're also going to be jumping into XRP in the charts, and we're going to be looking for support and resistance that's going to be mattering for you in the short term. Plus, we will be looking at the long-term and short-term momentum waves. So if you're like most people where you don't have the opportunity to spend hours a day in the crypto news like we do for you here on this channel, make sure you subscribe today. And if you're feeling bullish about this current bull run, let me know by commenting 777 down below. And before we jump into all of the crypto news, let's head over to CoinMarketCap and check out the overall health of the crypto market today. We are currently sitting at $3.31 trillion total market cap, and it's up 1.27 in the past 24 hours. As we can see here on the 30-day charts, it has been cranking to the upside. We did reject off this $3.4 trillion level, and we are trying to make a recovery back up to that. We do have a support right down here at 3.2 trillion we'll be watching out for. Total volume in the last 24 hours, $132 billion. Fear and greed index is in the 71 greed level. We haven't reached that extreme greed yet, which is very positive. Yesterday was a 66. Last week was a 73. Altcoin season index sitting at 24 out of 100. We are still in Bitcoin season. Bitcoin dominance has started to climb over the last several days. We are currently sitting at 63%. Checking out the Bitcoin ETF tracker, we did finish with $260 million last week, the final day of positive inflows for Bitcoin. And when we zoom out to the yearly, I really like to look at this. We are still continuing to have reduced volume into the ETFs. 4 weeks ago, 3 billion. 3 weeks ago, 1.8 billion. 2 weeks ago, 920 million. And last week, only 616 million. So we do definitely need to see a surge into the Bitcoin ETF inflow this week, or we could be potentially hitting a situation where the markets will start to pull back just a little bit. Top 5 cryptos by total market cap: Bitcoin coming in at $2 trillion at 104, almost $105,000. Number 2, Ethereum coming at 292 billion. Tether at number 3, 151 billion, taking back that number 3 spot. XRP coming in at number 4 at 140 billion. BNB overtaking Solana at 90 billion, and Solana wrapping it up number 6 at 87 billion. Heading over to X to find out all the breaking news. We have boom, CZ, Binance news, bullish. CZ says that many countries are buying Bitcoin for their reserves, and he knows this because they're actually helping other countries right now figure out how much and where they should be holding that Bitcoin. Also, while you're on X, don't forget to head over to our page, Bull Runners, at Bull Runners HQ. We are currently running a $100 giveaway. Winners will be announced tonight, so you do have time to get in this week's giveaway. We are going to be doing another one next week as well. If you want to win this week, all you have to do is like this post on X, comment XRP below, and sign up for the Blowfin account using our link right here which will also get you a 10% deposit bonus up to $50,000 deposit. While you're watching this, the announcement will be being made. It's at 10 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Subscribe here as well to Altcoin Secrets. If you want to learn how to become a crypto millionaire, you get a free ebook. Grab my free ebook secret. All you got to do is put in your best email here and click send my free ebook. Now, one of the main things we have been following is looking for quantitative easing starting to happen in the United States. As we have been following up with Jerome Powell, he has been really anti-Trump, obviously, with the reduction of the interest rates for the federal funds rate, still sitting at 4.5%. Will he be reducing it this week? The FOMC will be announced later this week or next week, sorry. So you're going to want to continue following that as well. But behind the scenes, the Fed did just quietly buy $43.6 billion in treasuries in the last 4 days. And this is part of quantitative easing when the Fed prints money to buy its own debt, injecting fresh liquidity into the system. In simple terms, the money printer isn't paused. It's just starting to warm up. And every time this turns on, assets like Bitcoin, XRP, XLM don't just rise. They explode. The rocket fuel is here. And as you can see, the famous meme of Jerome Powell hitting the money printer, it is starting to happen. And one of the biggest things to happen for XRP when it comes to potential liquidity injected into the market, the CME group is going to be launching XRP future trading tomorrow. When you wake up in the morning, it is going to be live. So this will be marking a new milestone for institutional adoption for XRP. Also, really big bullish news. Bitcoin has officially recorded its highest weekly close in history. We'll also check the Bitcoin charts at the end of this video. If you're just here for the charting, feel free to fast forward to that part. And when I was telling you earlier about the ETF tracker, I really do pay attention to that because it could be a great leading indicator for you to follow. When you start to see the volume coming in, you can see the price start to pump. As you see volume starting to phase out, the price does start to go to the downside. Now, we have had smaller inflows into the ETFs, but we haven't had any outflow weeks. So it has all been positive. And as we see right here, though, a secret thing is happening. SEC filings are starting to show that institutional investors reduce their exposure to BlackRock's spot Bitcoin ETF by 15% in Q1 of 2025. The State of Wisconsin Investment Board, a pioneer in the Bitcoin ETF investment, sold its entire 321 million shares in its IBIT holdings. And as you heard in the beginning with CZ announcing other countries are really priming up to buy lots of Bitcoin, we also see here Chinese firm plans to buy 800 million. This isn't the country, just a firm out of China. They want to buy $800 million worth of Bitcoin and a huge Trump coin purchase. Chinese manufacturer Adintax Group Corp announced potential plans, so they haven't officially done it yet, to acquire approximately $800 million worth of Bitcoin and Trump meme coins, despite having a mere $4.4 million market cap as a company. The NASDAQ OTC traded company claims to be in discussions with the cryptocurrency holders who collectively own approximately 8,000 Bitcoin. And if you haven't heard, there are a lot of behind the scenes over-the-counter trades going on. People that got Bitcoin when it was 30 cents, $1, that have been holding for years, and now they potentially have $30 million, $100 million worth of profits that they're just sitting on. They're tired of waiting. They're ready to take profits and live life with all of that new money that they've acquired over this long holding period. And Adintax is liking to take advantage of that. They would fund the crypto acquisition by issuing common stock as part of a long-term investment strategy for their company. Investors in the company appear tepid, though, with shares of their company down approximately 7% following the announcement that carefully noted no definitive agreement has been reached. Now, what's interesting, we've heard a lot of companies in the United States moving to this treasury, Bitcoin treasury model, where the company, after they announce and then buy Bitcoin, shoots up tremendously in percentage. So the fact that they are just talking about it, not making the actual move, not making the actual purchase, right now people are fearful of it. Once that purchase has happened, we're going to see potentially big moves to the upside for the company. And big bullish news for the United States as well. Bo Hines, the executive director of digital assets for the White House, just claimed that digital asset technology is the next generation of finance. The United States is ready to lead it. Also happening now, Galaxy Digital is in talks with the SEC to tokenize its own stock and other equities. So as always, lots of very positive fundamental news for crypto coming out this weekend. Now leading into this week, we also see Bitcoin in the charts surging, getting closer and closer, reaching over $107,000 today. Will it get back up to its all-time high and break through that $109,000 this week?
They told you crypto was a bubble, a scam, a dead dream. While they scared the general public, the world's most powerful institutions were buying it all up behind the scenes. BlackRock, Fidelity, Vanguard, governments around the world. At first, they dismissed crypto, but then, quietly, they moved in to buy as much as they possibly could. And today, Fidelity is officially recommending the average investor to hold 1 to 5% of their net worth in digital assets. So at first, they warned you to stay away, and now they're buying everything they can. But here's the truth, you're still early, not because of timing, but because you're not waiting for permission. 95% of people still have no clue what's really happening around the world in crypto, but you do right now. And that gives you the competitive edge. At Altcoin Pro University, we've built the gold standard in crypto education, giving everyday investors access to a professional research team, proven strategies, and worldwide community that it normally takes Wall Street type of money to afford. With 100+ expert curated classes, live weekly calls with crypto pros, daily market updates, altcoin picks, DeFi yield alerts, airdrop opportunities, and 24/7 customer support to answer all of your questions so you never invest alone. We don't guess, we don't hype, we don't chase rug pulls, we educate, we prepare, we position, and we prosper. And we're not new to this. Nearly 1,000 crypto investors from complete beginners to seasoned traders have already joined Altcoin Pro University, and they're learning faster than the 95% of the general public, allowing them to invest smarter, and they're doing it together, as a team, not alone.
Airdrops, that's been really helpful to multiply that portfolio and then just taking that money and putting into other things that I feel like will go up in value. So like Wormhole, that was a recent one, got about 11K from that. And there's also these really good channels with trades that we have. Like it's up to you if you want to do them. I'm learning about all of that, so I made like 5 to 6 grand from there. So it's really cool. I'm up like, what, I believe like 9x.
I had a portfolio before, I said that, I was already interested, I was already invested. So the size of it is now more than 3 times actually.
So I got started, I guess, dabbling into crypto space back in 2020. I've learned a lot. The main thing I learned probably, just because I'm not as active as other members, I do have a full-time job and other activities outside of crypto, but on the airdrops recently, I got a pretty big airdrop. At that time, it was like $1.80, so about $14,000.
Before I came across you guys, I actually had just gotten out of divorce and racked up a good amount of debt dealing with all that. So I hopped in there and I saw all the sub channels with the swing trades and the low cap gems, and like maybe 3 months after doing that, I was about halfway through my debt. It's you guys teaching it, but ultimately it's us that has to take the step to get out of this gambling mindset and learn how to use these tools properly. They're at our disposal, they're already there, it's easy to get to.
So click the link below to learn more about Altcoin Pro University, and you'll discover how you can try us out for 14 days risk-free. Nearly 1,000 crypto investors have already taken the plunge, and now it's your turn.
In a very interesting turn of events, Moody's, the credit rating system, has downgraded the United States credit rating due to rising debt. The reason behind this is with rising debt and no concrete plans to reduce government spending are the primary drivers behind reducing the credit assessment for the United States. And this is interesting, right? Because we have Doge that came out and they were saying there was all this extra spending. They're going to be cutting it out, and they have started surgically removing a lot of this potential overspending in the United States government. However, as this says right here, there is no concrete plans to reduce this because, as you know, the big, beautiful bill that Trump is trying to get passed on the House and the Senate in the United States, the new spending bill for the United States going forward, doesn't actually insert any concrete reductions. Moody's went on to say that U.S. lawmakers have failed to stem annual deficits or reduce spending over the years, leading to a growing national debt. And the rating agency wrote, We do not believe that the material multi-year reductions in mandatory spending and deficits will result from the current fiscal proposals under consideration, the big beautiful bill. Over the next decade, we expect larger deficits as entitled spending rises, while the government revenue remains broadly flat. The downgrade is only 1 degree out of the 21-notch rating scale used by the company to assess the credit health of an entity. Despite the short and medium-term outlook, Moody's maintained a positive outlook on the long-term health of the United States, citing a robust economy and the status of the US dollar as the global reserve currency as strengths, reflecting a balanced lending risk. However, the macroeconomic investor Jim Bianco argued that the recent Moody's credit outlook doesn't actually reflect a real downgrade in the perception of US government creditworthiness and characterized the announcement as a nothing burger. And in my personal opinion, it's coming as on the coattails of Jerome Powell continuing to not want to reduce that federal funds rate. And it's just trying to punch lower on Trump, right? So they don't want to reduce the federal funds rate. We also get a lowering in the credit outlook from Moody's, all while Trump is president, when in reality, these problems with our overspending and over income has been a problem for generations. The U.S. government debt did surpass $36 trillion in January 2025. Trump wasn't even president at that point. And despite recent efforts from Elon Musk and others to reduce federal spending and curtail national debt, it hasn't slowed it at all. As the debt climbs and investors lose faith in the U.S. government securities, bonds yields will spike, causing the debt service payments to go up, further inflating the national debt. So this Moody's downgrade was huge national news for the United States. Everyone was talking about it on all the news channels. It really does put a stain on President Trump, and it is positive for the deep state that's coming after him. So it's really interesting to see how he's going to respond to this in the coming weeks. And this week, there is not much on the calendar as far as financial news that's very important. You can see here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing of importance to report. But coming on Thursday, we do have 3 red folder news events: unemployment claims, which we've been following. Last week's unemployment claims fell flat. They were neutral, so there was no big push or rejection. And also on Thursday, we're going to get the flash manufacturing PMI and also the services PMI. We'll keep you updated on this when it does come out. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any financial news. So heading over to the charts, we do have a major announcement for XRP coming out tomorrow. Like we discussed in this video, that the CME is going to be launching the futures trading options for XRP, which is going to be very exciting. And when we take a look here at where we're at, this is on the daily charts, we can see we did finish up our cycle to the upside and reset at the 100 level. We are starting to trend back down to the 0 level for a reset on the trend cycle. This is our short-term momentum waves. As you can see, when it zeroed down here, we were sitting at $2.13, and we had a nice climb to the upside, getting all the way to $2.66, and then having the topping tail here at $2.65 before the drop that started to happen with our shaft trend cycle. As far as long-term momentum goes on the daily, as we can see right here on our Wolfpack indicator, we did cross back into bullish territory back on April 24th. We had a nice push to the upside, a retest off of our Wolfpack indicator back at the 0 line, and then the surge to the upside corresponding with our short-term momentum wave as well. We ended up blowing through the resistance at the top side here at $2.53, sat there for 2 days before breaking back down to the downside. Right now, we are bouncing off of the 30 exponential moving average. That did happen for us on May 17th. And now we're having a slight pullback. There is a nice support level here. We haven't actually retested this since the real breakout to the upside on May 8th. This level is $2.25. We haven't had a retest of that level and then a move to the upside. And for me personally, I do not like to see a huge move over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday because of the CME trading. Now, we know that that's really prevalent for Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's the CME futures options trading for us. It is going to bring tons and tons of liquidity into the market. But the problem is when you have a big move in the CME over the weekend, it leaves a gap that needs to be filled that ends up being filled anyway. So for example, when we take a look at Bitcoin and what happened, price had been consolidating here. It broke out yesterday, a huge move to the upside, which was really nice. And we're already seeing that move start to be filled back in. It does leave a gap We call them fair value gaps. We can see that the fair value gap is potentially going to be filled right here. That would also be a retest of this bullish flag that has started to form on the daily charts. And what's really interesting, if we do take this as a bullish flag and the pattern plays out, we can see from the start to the breakout level, and we have the bullish flag pole here, and we move that to where we just broke out from, that pattern will play out all the way up to $115,000 if this pattern plays to the full extent. We can also see right here the short-term momentum wave on the daily has reset for Bitcoin, also coming down almost at the zero line. That'll happen in the next 24 to 48 hours. Then we can see a nice big turn to the upside. And how quickly can we fill this $150 pattern to the top? XRP is experiencing something very similar. Yesterday had a big candle move to the upside, but we have already pulled all the way down and filled that potential fair value gap left from yesterday's move. And we do have a nice move, fair value gap to the upside, where we could get back to 252. Unfortunately, there is that fair value gap to the downside. So we'll know in the next 24 to 48 hours with XRP as well. Does it come back and reset down here to zero? It could check off. It's at about the 25 level and have a secondary turn up. And these support and resistance levels, 250, 225, are based on my weekly spider lines. Let's go ahead and check in on our 3-day spider line. So instead of the weekly candles, this is based on 3-day candles. We do have a brand new 3-day candle that just opened up right now. The last 3-day candle had bounced off the 10 exponential moving average and got up to its resistance level. These levels are different. There's much more noise, more support and resistance along the way. So right now we are at a potential resistance level here at $2.42. You can see we did just push up a couple of days ago into this level, could not break it, $2.60. Those are our resistance levels to the upside, 240 and 260. We do have a support level right here at $2.27, essentially corresponding with that weekly level as well. If we were to break and start to have a bearish outlook on the markets again, breaking below this 225 level could bring us all the way back down to that $1.90 level. Last time the body support here, it did wick down pretty deep, but it did finish the day there and close with the body right at that support at $1.93.